Welcome everyone to another edition of Play It Through, and on this edition it's Mystery Quest, brought to us by Texan and Carry Lab. Now Carry Lab, the developer of this game, this is their only North American release title, so that's probably why you've never heard of the company before. They had a few Japan-only release games for the MXX computer systems, as well as the Famicom disk system. Now, the Texan, the publisher of the game, published one of my favorite games, 8 Eyes, for the NES, as well as a few other NES titles. Now, Mystery Quest, as you can see, is a pretty basic-looking NES title. It was released in 1987, so it's really early in the NES run before it really started to get going, and a lot of the earlier NES titles, like in 86 and 87, were more focused on like the arcade style of gameplay, where you're working on point system, rather than trying to defeat big bosses and do epic storylines. Now, in this game, you play as the wizard in training, or the wizard wannabe, Hal. Now, Hal is trying to collect magical items from 4 different castles in order to prove that he is worthy enough to become a wizard. At least I think that's the whole point of the game. By going to these 4 castles, you collect 4 different symbols, all of different types. The symbol of money, knowledge, family, and peace. By getting each of their symbols, you can prove to, I guess, the higher-ups in the wizardry table that you are worthy enough of becoming a wizard. I'm sure the storyline for the game was explained a little better in the manual of the game, but unfortunately, I do not have that. I really wasn't able to find a whole lot of information about this game. Now, for the gameplay, you can see it's a pretty basic platformer, moving from left to right, but some of the things that makes the game interesting are some of the key mechanics of this title. You can see in the middle or so of the top part of the screen that you have a locate, and then you have a number, dash, and a letter. Now, what it means is you have 2 levels of the main outside area. You have an upper ground and an underground. The upper part being the 1, the underground being the 2. And the castles are located in different letters on top. There's 2 on top and 2 on the bottom. For the run of the game, I'm going to go all the way from the left to the right, do the first 2 castles, then go under the ground, and then go from right to left to complete the 3rd and 4th ones. Now, I'm actually in the first of the castles, and it's kind of a maze to figure out where you're supposed to go. There's numbered rooms. There's like 4 total numbered rooms, as well as many other doors that we're going to be going through, and it's really confusing if you don't know a good path to go through. Here's our first of kind of our big enemy. There's no real bosses in the game, but each castle has a special boss-type enemy. In this case, we have a flying praying mantis. By defeating him, we get a key, as well as we'll find many other keys throughout the run. Once I had that key, I went into this room, where I got the scroll of magic, or the roll of magic, which upgrades my attack to make it a much stronger attack and allows it to do things my other attack wasn't able to do. Now, as we go through the castle, you can see which paths I'm taking, and I'll try to explain them as it goes. But the thing about the game is, even though there is 4 castles total, there's really only 2, and then they repeat. The first 2 castles are different, and then the 3rd and 4th ones are repeats of the 1st and 2nd castles. The only thing that changes in those 2 things is the locations of the special bonus items that we're supposed to be collecting in order to complete the game. Those are the only differences. The only other thing that does change between the castles is each of them has a different one of those boss creatures. Like the praying mantis in this one, we'll see a giant snail, a dragon, and a gargoyle in the other 3. Now, there's a lot of breakable blocks, which you can't really differentiate between which ones are breakable and which ones aren't, unfortunately. And then you have the spring ones, which you can easily tell because they're a different color, which ones you'll be able to spring off of. The spring mechanic works pretty well, like you would expect from any kind of like spring in a game or trampoline or anything of that nature. The thing that's really different and what can be a real pain and take some time to get used to is the whole running aspect and the whole momentum as a whole. As you know, you usually hold in a button to run in a platformer, and then by running you'll be able to do, higher, longer jumps. In this game, to get running, you have to actually press the attack button multiple times. So you've probably been noticing that I've been attacking a lot just randomly at nothing, and you may be asking why I was doing that, and that's because every time you do it, it kind of speeds you up a little bit, and that you're able to move a little bit faster. Now, I defeated that praying mantis, got the item, and then I jumped across and grabbed a pair of power boots. What those boots are going to allow me to do is jump onto certain blocks and be able to break them. You'll see for the first time here. I jump twice, it breaks, and I can get down here easily to get to the door, because making that jump over that little bit of water would have been impossible to do. Now, you can hold up and press the shoot button in order to kind of do a spread shot everywhere, and you're going to need to do this several times throughout the run in order to hit certain blocks and to find secret ways to get through these areas. What I just grabbed there, you may have noticed I grabbed a little bit of an item. You may not have been able to tell exactly what it was, but it was a mini-how. It was an extra piece of life it gives you. As you can see on my vitality meter, which is my health bar obviously, that I now have a gray area. That's the extra bit I got for collecting that mini-how doll. Now, we are actually nearing the end of the first castle. We only have to collect our symbol, the main point of coming into these castles, and then we'll be able to head out and then go back to the main screen. This is the symbol of money we're getting, and as you can see, it's a money bag up there. Use my spread shot to grab it. Now, you would think I would have to go in this key door right there, since I do have a key, but you want to just stomp on the blocks there underneath the chandelier and go into this door, and then it takes you back out. We've now completed the first of the 4 castles. Now, to get to our next castle, we're going to have a lot more platforming and traveling, but we have to get from letter K, where we were in the castle, to letter Q. The stars that you may have seen I've randomly picked up, those give me a little bit of health back, and they can appear from destroying certain items such as candles and other things, or by jumping on random other platforms such as like random tree stumps. As you can see, when I jump on a couple of them, a star will start floating up and down. Now, you have to be careful with those stars. If you jump up and shoot the star with your item, you can actually destroy them and lose the health bonus. So you have to be careful about not destroying the health items. The good thing about the game is there is a good amount of health items, either those stars, or you may have noticed I picked up a moon, and I'm picking up another one right there. The moon is a full health thing. It recharges all your health all the way back up. There's only a few basic enemies that we're going to have to contend with. We have some scorpions, snakes, we have the dragonflies, which can be a little bit of a pain because of the way their motion is. But you just want to make sure that you're able to get over the different things of water, more so than dealing with the enemies. When you do get hit, you get knocked back a little bit, so you have to be careful in a few of the dungeons, because especially in the 3rd and 4th dungeon, where there is a little bit more enemies, even though they're repeats of the first 2 dungeons, there is more random enemies around, scorpions and such, and they may be able to knock you back into one of the pits of water, so you have to be careful about them. Now, this is the 2nd castle. In this castle, we are getting the symbol of knowledge, as well as a few other items that we need in order to help us out. We're going to be getting the helmet in this one right here. Now, to get this helmet, what we're going to do is we have to do our spread shot once again to break open some blocks in order to get up there. So what I'm going to have to do is stand here, use my spread shot to make sure that the helmet gets hit, the block breaks, it falls down, and I grabbed it, and now when I headbutt certain blocks, they'll break open. Use this spring to my advantage in order to catapult myself up into that crevice. Now, in this room, we want to destroy the staircase, breaking the blocks, and then jump to the middle section here. You have to get used to kind of moving and doing these short jumps to get through here properly. It can take a little bit of practice to get used to that. Now, when it comes to running on the spikes, obviously when you're standing directly on them, it's going to drain your health rather quickly. But if you jump a lot while on them, if you can time your jumps right, you won't take very much damage at all, if any, really, for jumping on the spikes as you're running through them. A good idea in this room is to run all the way to the right, defeat the snail, and then you'll get the key for defeating it, and if you take any damage, then run to the left, break open the wall, and you can see that there was a moon health upgrade in there to replenish our vitality meter. Now here we gotta run across some more spikes, which is gonna eat up a lot of that health that we even just gained back, so that we can get to the key door down here. In this room we have a lot more spikes to go across. We can spring up. You don't have to necessarily spring up because there is stairs on the right side. And then climb up and enter the number 3 door. Now, in this room, we move all the way to the right to the middle area, and then we head all the way to the left to the door. Defeat the snail in the process of moving,